Communities with Purpose. I am your host, Laura Gonzalez from With Purpose Realty. And today we have a really special guest, Scott Milnes. Scott is the creator of Healing from Heartbreak, as well as the Great Relationship Academy. Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, of course. We're super excited to learn more about both of your businesses and services that you've created. Scott, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about you and your professional background, as well as the journey of Healing from Heartbreak and Great Relationship Academy and how those came about.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. So I'll kind of give you guys the Cliff Notes version today. So I was married and divorced at age 29, and it really, back then I just had no idea how to recover from a divorce, or even that I should be exploring some type of healing modality. And so, I ran back out and participated in the only type of divorce recovery that I'd ever heard of, and that was, party like a rock star, and try to get back into a new relationship as soon as possible.
Sure.
So conversely, at the time, in running from the pain, I never really learned the powerful lessons that divorce was there to teach me. Mm-hmm. Now, fast forward about 8 years later, I went through just an incredibly traumatic breakup. And people are often caught off guard when I tell them that breakup was exponentially more painful than my divorce, for a variety of reasons. Primarily, the main reason was when I went through that breakup, I didn't run from it. And I'm like, okay, I'm clearly the common denominator in all of my relationships. So if I have a 100% failure rate at relationships, clearly there's a disconnect within me. There's something I'm doing wrong. And so, I was just on a vision quest to figure it out. Initially just to quench my own pain and as a form of personal development. And then,
Sure.
I went back to school, took every class, read every book, and really attended every workshop, seminar, and sermon that I could find on, what is healthy love? What is it not? Mm-hmm. How do I tell the difference? Over time, I became a certified marriage mentor. And then one of my greatest blessings was I was invited to, at the time, I was invited to co-lead. And then eventually I became the leader of what became one of the largest divorce recovery programs in the United States. I was always taking notes and always kind of writing curriculum. And the biggest question that was so heavy on my heart was, if this is divorce and this is how we heal from it, well, how do we prevent it? Mm-hmm. And that was really kind of the birth of Healing from Heartbreak. Mm-hmm. About 3 years after my super bad breakup, mm-hmm. I had done all this healing, all this evolution and personal development, and I was finally ready to re-enter the dating pool. Mm-hmm. And really the software in my mind had been so thoroughly rewritten that I approached, dating and women and courtship and just the whole concept of marriage. I approached it so differently. And within pretty quick order, I met an amazing woman, and well, gosh, we've been together for 11 years and married for almost 9 at this point. And
wow.
So that's a lot of this is stuff I teach in both of my programs at Healing from Heartbreak. And then, those students and clients that go through that program, mm-hmm. they can graduate and ascend into the Great Relationship Academy. And that's where I teach on, healthy dating and courtship.
Wow. That is a lot of amazing things, because I don't know what the latest stat is, but I know that divorce happens a lot and it's quite high. What is it now?
It is bad. Depending on what research studies you lean upon, it's almost unanimously agreed to that it's well over 40% of a divorce rate for first marriages, mm-hmm. which is scary enough on its own. But the statistic that really haunts me is the divorce rate for second marriages. And it's almost 18 to 22% higher than it
wow.
is. Yeah. And
wow.
to me, this is why I'm so passionate about the work that I do,
Yeah.
because that's the broken cycle that I'm desperately trying to intervene on. I often share, hey, there's nothing I can do about your current divorce or your current breakup. I can definitely help you heal from it and
Right.
recover and become whole, but it is what it is. You've gotten divorced or you're going through this bad breakup. But
Sure.
what I really believe I can do is give people the tools and techniques and the real world knowledge to go forth and prevent their second divorce or their next breakup, because
Right.
they'll approach it with a healed heart and much more wisdom.
How do you divorce proof a relationship? I
Yeah.
love that. And I think that obviously it's a very personal journey and a lot of personal things that need to be shared with you, as far as your clients. But would love to know, can you share a little bit about, recent case or very interesting case that you've been working on, kind of the couple or the person came in, and, the journey that they went through and
Hmm.
where they are now?
Yeah, sure. So this guy was early 30s, and he was kind of caught in this tug of war in this toxic, dysfunctional relationship. Breaking up, getting back together, breaking up, getting back together, and he and I partnered together. Step one was, okay, you tell me you're broken up with this girl, and you tell me that this is what needs to happen. My job at that moment was to help him stay out. Right?
Hmm.
I see this a lot. People breaking up is easy. It's for a lot of people, it's staying broken up. That's the hard part.
Yep.
How do we keep our eyes fixed? Staring through the windshield of our life and not getting distracted by the rearview mirror.
Sure.
Just keep driving forward. So yeah, initially we worked just to really get him some safe distance, a lot of healing, a lot of work on self-love, self-care, self-esteem, confidence. And we ultimately got him to a place where he felt really comfortable being single. He's like,
Mhm.
wow, this being single stuff isn't that bad. I'm like, no, man, it's not that bad. It's actually a gift that you're
Yeah.
giving yourself, because we prepare for healthy relationships during seasons of singlehood. So he
Mhm.
got really comfortable. And I could talk on this for hours, but it's in that state of comfort where we're like, hey, you know what? I would like to be in a relationship, but
Mhm.
but I don't need one. And
Mhm.
since we're not approaching relationships from any sense of desperation, we are able to choose wisely. Um,
Mhm.
Moving forward, I'd say maybe about a year after our work together, and he and I would stay in touch, and we would do random calls and check-ins here and there. But sure enough, and I knew this was going to happen eventually. He met an amazing woman, and much like I did, the software in his mind had been thoroughly, debugged and
Yeah.
rewritten. And
Yep.
so he approached it very differently. He looked he it's just beautiful. Like he saw not just like, oh, she's beautiful or she's witty or she's charming. He looked at all of these deeper aspects and found tremendous beauty. Um, when you re-enter the dating pool, your job is to find a woman whose inner beauty completely eclipses her outer beauty. Um,
Mm.
and I found that in my wife, and my client that I'm sharing about now. He's absolutely found that in his fiance as well. And it's cool to get a front row seat and observe that transformation.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. Now, for somebody that, maybe is not, they've already gone through a breakup or they haven't really been in a relationship in a while and they're single,
Hmm.
at the moment, what are some things that you would recommend that they, continue, start thinking about or start working on, um, to, like you said,
Yeah.
choose to be in a relationship, not get into a relationship because they may feel desperate or they may feel like they need to.
Yeah. It's just really be gut level honest with yourself, and to the best of your ability, make sure that you're healed and that you're whole and that you don't have any, hurts or hang-ups, that you're truly ready to form a healthy partnership with another healthy person. There's a lot of folks out there, and this is part of an exercise that I walk clients through is, and you've probably heard about this, this is not, it's not anything new or cutting edge, but it's, come up with a matrix or an ingredient list of what you want in a relationship. I think a lot of people think about this, but they don't really put pen to paper. And then even if they do, they don't really create an ongoing dialogue and conversation with a professional who understands where this thing's supposed to go.
Sure.
And so step one is, come up with this grocery list of what you say you want, and then get really honest and be like, because this is the important step two, is, do you have that? It's easy to say, oh, I want this, but
right.
are you also bringing that? Because if you
right.
find, like, for example, like if you find someone who meets all your criteria, but you don't meet it yourself, well, that person's probably not going to, he's probably
want
not
to
going to
stay with you for much longer. Yeah.
Because we can only attract what we are. It's all about energy and vibration and frequency.
Totally.
And so if you're vibrating at this level, but you say you want something at this level, you've got to come up.
Yeah. I love that.
I always tell people, like, when it comes to healthy relationships, people, they blow it in one of two ways, or sometimes both ways. One is they blow it in the selection phase, meaning they make a very poor, unwise choice in who they're going to attempt to build something with. So, and then once they get into the relationship, they don't know how to really care for and nurture and foster and build that relationship up. They don't have those couple skills. And I often share that if you don't make a wise choice when you're in the selection phase, it won't matter how kindly you treat afterwards. You have to choose wisely. You can't overcompensate later. And I've talked to so many men and women who have, like, maybe they were just completely enamored by that person's beauty or their success or their status or their wealth, and they got hypnotized by it, and they made an unwise choice. And then, man, they tried to completely, overcompensate, and, oh my gosh, I'm going to try this to make it work. I'm going to try that to make it work. And oh my goodness.
Doesn't work.
You gotta nail it in both those categories. You got to choose wisely. And then once you get into a relationship, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah. And then about the stigma, and I think this stigma goes for other things too, like people saying, oh, I don't really need a therapist if I'm not going through anything rough, or I don't really need a coach or this if I'm not having any issues. Would you say that's probably the same for a marriage coach? You don't need to be going through an issue. I guess if you're serious about having, like you mentioned earlier, a legacy marriage, you could seek out this type of help.
Yeah, Laura, okay, where to start on this one? Sadly, I sometimes joke that, that women will frequently reach out for help at the first sign of any trouble. And then men will sometimes reach out for help when they finally get served divorce papers. And I'm really trying to create a national conversation about, hey, there is nothing more important than who you choose to date and who you choose to marry. There is no more important decision. So, for goodness sakes, partner with somebody who has been there, who knows the traps and the pitfalls and the roadblocks. Someone who kind of has the spiritual binoculars to see far ahead. And it's almost like, if you're going to go on some 100-mile hike through extreme terrain, like, you would obviously hire a guide, and you would prepare and have provisions, and you'd have a plan. And people, this is what I offer is, for goodness sakes, like, not only learn from my mistakes that cost me years of my life, but also learn from the collective wisdom of all the clients I've learned from, all the students I've taught. Like, there's a smoother, more efficient path that involves so much less heartache and
Yeah.
confusion.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. Thank you so much. Obviously, super personal conversation. I'm assuming if anybody has any type of questions or wants to reach out to you, that would be more of that conversation one-to-one.
Yeah.
Where Scott, thank you so, so much for
Thank you.
being so open, honest, and having this conversation with us. We really appreciate you being here. For those of you out there, thank you so much for watching. This is your host, Laura Gonzalez from With Purpose Realty, and stay tuned for our next episode.